Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast.
Hey folks, I'm here with Matthew Zirpolo and Mackenzie Graham of Burgeon Beer. We got the co-founder and the marketing manager in the building. We are in-house at Burgeon Beer Company. How are you folks doing today?
Great.
Doing fantastic. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. So, Burgeon Beer Company, first of all, I'd like to give you guys the opportunity of letting everyone know where they can find you, where they can come in and get one of the best darn beers in San Diego, and in the world, I mean, for that matter.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Right now, our tasting room is located in Carlsbad, beautiful Carlsbad. We actually grew up in Encinitas, so Carlsbad wasn't too far from us. We're right off Palmer Airport Road, across from Palmer Airport. As far as our beer goes, we distribute to about almost 600 accounts in San Diego. So we're all throughout San Diego County, all the way down from Chula Vista to East County up to Oceanside.
Perfect. I mean, well, that's, first of all, make your way here. It's a beautiful tasting room. I mean, just terrific atmosphere. You always meet, I feel like when I come in here every time I see the most exotic dogs ever. There's something to be said about that.
Oh, yeah. We're super dog friendly. Actually, right now, anytime I see a dog out in the tasting room, I snag a pic because we're doing a Dogs of Burgeon thing. So if you bring your dogs in, find the girl with the camera.
Yeah, they'll be famous.
They really will. I mean, I've seen a dog here that resembles a horse. I've seen a dog here that resembles a zebra. I've seen the whole lot of it.
You can see mine. He looks like a bear. So you got all the animals.
I was just going to say a bear. You know, we have it all here. So you know, I guess the tough but yet fun question is kind of the 20,000-foot level of where it all started, how it all began. Could you bring us through that?
Sure, absolutely. So we started Burgeon. We started working on Burgeon about. Now it's almost 6 years ago.
Wow.
When we first started talking about what is now Burgeon. It came to be because me and my two friends that actually, we all went to high school together. We went to La Costa Canyon, just right down the street here.
I went to Torrey Pines.
Did you? Okay. All right. Wow. I won't get into all that. I know we got a little rivalry. Yeah. But we were all friends from high school, and then we all kind of went off and did separate things after high school. I went into sales and marketing. Derek, my other partner, went into operations, and Anthony went into brewing. He actually became one of the head brewers at Stone and worked his way up from the kegging line. So that gave us the experience and confidence to really start Burgeon. And we all three of us got together, and we realized that we had three very unique skill sets that would really come in handy when starting a business like Burgeon. And it was our dream to open a brewery up in our hometown where we all grew up. And that's what Burgeon means. Burgeon means to grow. And that's why, because we all grew up here. Our roots are here in San Diego, and we want to keep growing here as well.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That translates into a question that I wanted to ask. How important is, I feel like San Diego, I say this in a lot of podcasts, but I've lived all around the world. My parents were in the Foreign Service, so I grew up in London, Tokyo, Switzerland, but my home is now San Diego, and it's treated me as its son. There's something about this place, man, that has the resources of a big city, but it has a small town feel.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit biased growing up here. I think it's the best place in the world, but
it really is.
It's beautiful. San Diego's fantastic. It's sunny. And North County and South County are a little bit different. South County is a little bit more of a city, whereas North County is a little bit more spread out, a little bit more of suburban neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But there are so many great businesses here. There's Viasat right up the street. You have Qualcomm. You have all the breweries of San Diego. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. I mean, I find it. I mean, even if we we need to go up to LA. Let's say it's 1.5 hours away.
Yeah. Without traffic.
Without traffic. But yeah, it's. Oh, you want to?
No.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think that's so. that probably not only influences both of you as individuals, but as a business, I'm sure, as a brewery, I'm sure. And there's something so cool about San Diego, and having gotten the pleasure to interview not only you folks now, but a number of other dynamic breweries in San Diego.
Yeah.
There's a synergy about it that just freaking keeps it going, and I freaking love it. Like, I just like every time. I mean, Sean, when I was talking to Sean from Protector, he was just like, he was big into what you guys are doing and everything, and I know he's doing his own thing with the organic stuff. So that's
absolutely,
it's really interesting.
I mean, just this brewing industry in San Diego is so unique. It's such a cohesive group of people that love working together and sharing ideas and just growing this craft at an exponential rate. Because while we share ideas with each other, we're learning things that we wouldn't learn otherwise unless we had it through trial and error. But I think that's very unique. The fact that we have so many breweries here and we have so much knowledge in so many different facets, and it really allows us to be at the pinnacle of craft beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's, to even talk about the marketing aspect of that too, it's like you learn from not only the brewing aspect, but the marketing aspect of, what works, what reaches people, how to collab with places. I think there's been so many like cool collabs between breweries down here, whether it's, the brewing side and then the marketing side, like seeing it play out and stuff. It's so fucking fun to see like great breweries collab. And I mean, I know what you guys do a lot is via your collabs, giving back to whether it's the Sierra Nevada one that you guys were a part of, or your own where you're giving back, a tree per
can and pint. Yeah, reclaiming
that's
the wild.
That's fucking wild. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of
pretty damn cool.
You just hit on, like, in this introductory couple minutes here, on the three, like, most important things about the Burgeon brand, right? So, of course, we touched on beer first, then community, which includes, like, both San Diego and local brewers and people within the industry, but also includes all of the people who are supporting Burgeon by coming into our tasting room and picking up our cans all around San Diego. So our community is really important on both sides. And then really the third thing for the brand here is the environment. So of course, we do what we can to create beers in both a sustainable way and also in a way that gives back and helps protect the nature and the environment. So
without giving away too many secrets, and we can keep it hush hush if we, but how, so you said creating beer in a sustainable way. What does that pertain in terms of the brewing process?
Yeah, there are a handful of ways.
I can't go too in depth, but we do have a lot of practices where we reclaim reclaim water. That's the beer name.
You're reclaiming the wild?
We are reclaiming the wild, but we're also reclaiming our water. We actually work with the local farmer who comes and picks up all of our grain, so they feed all their cows with that. We have a bunch of different practices.
Where are those cows and how do I get their burgers? Those cows are eating some damn good grain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they love it. Apparently when the truck pulls up, all the cows just start running after it. I've never seen a cow really run, so I was surprised to hear that.
It's like some Wagyu.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For sure. Oh, goodness gracious. But that's awesome. So, like, I mean, even simple stuff like just donating your grain or giving back your grain to a local farmer is kind of the stuff that makes it all go around.
Oh, exactly. We do that. And even from the littlest practices to having rubber bands around our kegs instead of shrink wrap. We do a lot of recycling here. We use a grain silo now instead of bags so that we don't use any plastic. It's all just straight into the silo. So there's a lot of different things that we do to make sure that we're helping giving back to the environment.
Wow, that's awesome. And it sounds like, in a way, I'm sure after time it probably expedites the process for you too.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's a win-win completely.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. And I think it's another thing I've found with San Diego breweries, and I'm sure other breweries are doing this too, but San Diego breweries, I've always found that every single brewery that I've gone to is giving back in some kind of cool way that's near and dear to their heart. But it sounds like to you guys, you guys kind of even take it further where it's not only near and dear to your heart, but it's one of your core principles.
Absolutely, yeah. We founded Burgeon, we really wanted to be community focused, and we felt so fortunate to open up and just kind of be welcomed with open arms into the San Diego craft beer community. We have had so much support from all the local people around San Diego. with our brand and buying our beer, and then with all the other breweries kind of just welcoming us into the industry and teaching us the way of San Diego and how everything works here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been funny. I mean, like I would say like I showed up in San Diego at the perfect time, right before it kind of really blew up in terms of craft beer, craft brewing.
Mm-hmm.
How near and dear is IPA, and kind of like the explosion of what IPAs meant to? I always have to ask this just because it's a thing that we kind of experienced first, and now you can be in Alaska, you can be in Virginia, you could be in Maine, you could be in Florida, you could be in Kansas and say, I want an IPA. But it is synonymous with San Diego, anyone who knows.
I was literally about to say that exact same thing. When you think San Diego, you think IPA. We are a bunch of hopheads, and I'm included in that category. All three of us, me, Anthony, and Derek, love IPAs. And we have some pretty cool practices that we do here to differentiate between the different IPAs. We do some different hopping regimens that don't necessarily make them like the traditional IPAs where they're super bitter, palate-wrecking hop bombs, but you get a ton of flavor and a ton of aroma with a clean finish. So we do some pretty unique stuff here that's, I think, a little bit cutting edge. But yeah, we love IPAs.
Yeah.
To say the least. We have, I think, probably like 7 or 8 on at all times.
Oh, yeah.
In the tasting room. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, what I find super interesting is what you guys do, and what again, I know I keep rephrasing this, but what the few other places that we've talked to do is you guys have a significant taste that I can say, oh, that's a Burgeon beer. Yeah. And that's pretty tough to do as a craft brewery, I think, because it's hard to do without like selling out and just like pasteurizing everything and this, that, and the third to everything. But you guys have been able to accomplish that. Like you said, it's very complicated in terms of, differentiating the hops and stuff, but very clean taste at the end, always very crisp. How does that, is that just luck of the draw?
No, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest challenges for newer and smaller breweries is that level of consistency. And sometimes it's just figuring out your system, but a lot of it goes into the experience of your brewer. We were fortunate enough to have Anthony, who had been brewing professionally for 5 years before we started Burgeon. He had a lot of experience, and so we were able to hit the ground running when we came here and opened up, which was a huge help for us.
It sounds like the team was kind of like assembled in a way between you, Anthony, and sorry, who was the third? Derek, yeah. Between you guys, I mean, you had a solid foundation, having someone from Stone, you being in sales, and then what was Derek doing?
He was in operations and fabrication.
There you go. I mean, like you have 3 kind of, Pinocchio pullers right there, just ready to go, ready to pull the strings. And not only that, but being from San Diego, wanting to provide something to the local neighborhood. Can you speak to how like having the 3 different people with 3 different backgrounds kind of played into that like success?
Absolutely. We were, I look back on it now and just realize how fortunate we were to have those 3 different skill sets. We talked about it when we built out the business plan. We started kind of naturally just falling into our roles because that's what we were good at. And the nice thing about that is that I can't brew like Anthony. I can't build anything like Derek's going to do. I can't run everything like Derek's going to. And they sure as heck don't want to sell anything. So we all appreciate each other for our different skill sets. And I think that's why we work so well together, because we know that I can trust Anthony's going to brew the best beer that I've ever tasted. I know Derek's going to run this brewery the way it should be run. And they trust me that I'm going to represent the product and get it out there appropriately. So
it's like a turnkey operation off the bat.
Yeah, I wish it was, but it was,
2.5 years later, it sounds.
Exactly, you're completely right. And I was watching. I mean, it was like a month ago, but you guys posted that snap of when things were first starting.
Yeah.
And I remember I was looking at this space, and I was just absolutely flabbergasted at, I'm sure, the toil, the turmoil, and the day-to-day doubt that probably went into starting something like this. And I know this is obviously a kind of corny and cliche question, but as the ODDCAST podcast, we always talk about passion to paychecks. Yeah. And those moments of like investing your paycheck into your passion and hoping that that's going to return into another paycheck. I mean, how do you push through that doubt?
That was something where we all really. There was a moment when we were not building out the brewery, when we were starting to work on the business plan, where we all realized that this was going to need to be a passion of ours if it was going to become a reality. We did a lot of things the hard way, but we did that for a reason, because we felt that it was a better way to open. I use the analogy, it's like a marathon with the hurdles. You just have to keep jumping over the hurdles. Even if you trip on them, you just have to keep going and keep going and keep going, and then eventually you'll reach the finish line, because opening a business is no small feat, especially in a saturated market already. So you have to come out guns blazing and make sure that you truly are passionate about what you're doing. Otherwise, it will show if you're not.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what you guys also did, I mean, inherently, is you separated yourself too. I mean, in a business, like you said, that's oversaturated. I mean, trust me, I'm in one too.
Mm-hmm.
It's oversaturated. You want to be able to separate yourself, and in a weird way, your passion almost like kind of defines what what you're all about, what you're doing. I mean, you guys were so passionate about giving back to San Diego, kind of creating a cool place for North County people to come and hang, that this is what it resulted in.
Yeah, and we're feeling very fortunate for that. We had to build out this place. First of all, to find the location, it took us about a year and a half.
Wow, how
just to find a location.
Do you have any funny stories from that?
Yeah, actually. Well,
funny.
Yeah, funny now. Yeah.
Funny, like I want to bash your head.
Yeah. We actually were looking at a location right across the street, and we almost had a lease signed. And when we went to go inspect the power, we found out it was half of what they told us it was going to be, which wasn't enough to run a brewery, which you need a lot of power to run a brewery.
Wow.
So we offered to pay a substantial amount of money to upgrade the power for the entire building. And the landlord said no, which I thought would be kind of a no-brainer to be an amenity for the rest of the units there. But
if I were a landlord, that would have been,
yeah,
awesome.
Exactly, yeah. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason, because that was a spot literally probably 200 yards up the road. It was at the back of this business park. There's no visibility from the street. And we were so pissed that we ended up just walking around this neighborhood and found a for lease sign out front here and started walking in, banging on doors, finding out when people's leases were coming up. We found out the lease here was coming up in about 6 months, so we ended up signing a lease, I think, within a week.
Now the huge storefront, Burgeon.
Yeah, and we're
right
like,
outside.
This is just, it was just meant to be. And we chose Carlsbad, and Carlsbad is a little bit more difficult. Actually, it is a lot more difficult to open a brewery in.
Is it?
Because we did want to separate ourselves. A lot of breweries like to be together because you have the strength in numbers.
Yep.
But that wasn't necessarily our mentality. We wanted to be more on our own, more unique, and kind of stand out in our own regard. So we ended up getting a full conditional use permit with the city of Carlsbad, which took us almost a year.
Wow.
And we had to go to several different meetings. We had to present in front of the entire board and all of the city council, and in front of all the members and anyone who wanted to come to those meetings from Carlsbad. And they had to vote on it. And those were some of the most intense, scary meetings of our entire life. Fortunately, everyone voted yes for the brewery coming in, and people were really excited about it. But there's a couple items on the docket before us where people were just furious, and they're yelling about how they didn't want this in their neighborhoods and how they didn't want these certain businesses to open up. And so by the time we got up, we were just terrified that people were going to be upset. But fortunately, everyone was very excited to have Burgeon join.
That is wild. That is wild. That was one thing I was going to ask about, and you already covered it. Why Carlsbad, but that kind of shows like the uniqueness. And Carlsbad is a really cool city in its own right too. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we grew up here right down the street, so we wanted to open up in our backyard.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of being local and growing up here and having roots here in San Diego. Our dream was to open up in our hometown, and have a brewery in our hometown. And we have a lot of friends here, and we wanted to be around that. We wanted to stay here in the city that we know and love.
That's awesome. That's so cool. That's kind of what I've felt like. Again, getting to meet the San Diego craft beer community has been all about. It is just that. It's the community.
Mm-hmm.
And goodness gracious, this has put San Diego on the map nationally in terms of beer for sure, but like in other regards too, it definitely puts us on the map. I mean, San Diego has always just been kind of a forgotten city, and I think we kind of like it that way. A little bit. We're fine. We're fine. Like, you could keep it up in LA. We're fine.
Don't hop on the 5 today, though. It won't seem very forgotten.
I'll tell you what, with the races just having opened,
and Comic-Con, and
oh no, it's a done deal. But I think it's so cool, and I think that the craft beer community is totally representative of San Diego as a whole, as just a microcosm of that.
Yeah, we were very fortunate to have founding fathers of the craft beer industry that were so amazing. You look at the crew from Carl Strauss, Pizza Port, Stone, all of those locations, they started off and they kind of created this just awesome mentality between the breweries. They started all working together, and that's why San Diego has been so successful with craft beer.
Pulled the ladder down, didn't pick it up. That's what I always say. They pulled the ladder down for people to also climb up on it.
Exactly.
And then subsequently, those people have continued to pull the ladder down for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's again, it's not an easy feat now, but you have guiding principles now if you want to get into the craft beer game in San Diego. You have people to look to,
Exactly.
mentors, and I think that's so beautiful. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. If we have a question about something, we can call 50 different people in one day. Yeah. And they'll be more than willing to help us out. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, well, another one I wanted to ask you guys about, before we get into, some, I think we're going to do a little tasting here, but...
when in Rome, right?
Yeah, when in Rome, exactly. Your guys' merchandise is absolutely fucking fire.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I think that goes along with the logo. So first I want to ask about the logo. What does that represent? I mean, I think it's pretty apparent, but just for you guys to articulate. And then, like, kind of the especially the new stuff that's been coming out. I mean, the two-tone waterproof one.
Oh, yeah, the windbreakers,
yeah.
We try and get crazy with them, yeah.
Everything, yeah, you guys are killing it. So, yeah, first, like, what does the symbol represent? And then, like, kind of what's the drive behind the merch? So,
Yeah, well, so this is actually being relatively new to the Burgeon team, and being a Burgeon beer lover way before that.
Yeah.
When I came on, Matt really took me through the brand and everything that these three guys started up together. And it was really cool because in this deep dive into the brand, we really pulled apart the logo itself and figured out that there were like 3 things that are really important for Burgeon as a company and as a brand. And those 3 things are represented visually, like right in this logo. So we've got the beer itself. So innovative beer of the highest quality is like the center of these guys' mission and what they're doing and creating. But what they also saw was that beer can be this vehicle for 2 other things that are incredibly important to them, right? So fostering this cool community around craft beer that, has already, been established, but is continuing to grow.
And those are the roots in the logo.
Yeah, so we've got the roots. And then, of course, the environment and the San Diego sunshine sort of spilling out from behind the beer itself really ties all 3 of those elements into the logo. So that was a great question. Thank you for asking about that.
Yeah, and so it was pretty cool because Mackenzie realized that because we did this whole brainstorming session and like, all right, what is most important? And it was first and foremost the beer, then our community and the environment. And she looked at our logo. She's like, all 3 of those things are in your logo. I'm like, no wonder I like it so much. And to be honest with you, when we started the brewery, funds were low. Like we put all of our money into the back, making sure that quality was everything. And so that's why we built out the tasting room ourselves. But when coming up with the logo was tough. So we have friends that are some graphic designers and some that think they're graphic designers. And we put out a challenge to them with beer as an incentive for whoever came up with our logo, and we got some terrible logos back. We had some that were like look like they're done in word art, and some crazy stuff. We're like, all right, and then
you guys rejected all my logos.
It was in Times New Roman. I don't know.
I use Comic Sans for a reason.
So we ended up kind of restated our mission, and we told everyone that was building the logo what was important to us. Yeah. And then Derek's friend Jerry actually came up with the logo that we have today, and we literally all 3 of us saw it, and without hesitation, we just knew that was it, because it just stood for everything that we want to be as a company. Yeah,
it kind of happens. It kind of just hits naturally, and then so that being said, onto the merch. Is that kind of the same thing with the merch? Like it just represents the company?
Yeah, I mean, everything that we do, we want to do at the highest quality and make it the best that we can put out. So as far as, I mean, that starts with the beer, but that translates all the way to the merchandise and everything that we do at Burgeon. We want our name to be synonymous with high quality products.
Yeah, I think, I mean, well, I think you've definitely accomplished that. I mean, in terms of, as San Diego consumer, I would definitely attribute that to the Burgeon name for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, but hopefully, we're hoping that it builds a brand that people can just trust.
Yeah.
So they'll see the beer on the board, and they might not know what it is, but if they know it's from us, they know they can trust that it's going to be good beer.
Yeah. I know if a place is carrying Burgeon, I'll at least, give a tip of the hat to them at the very least.
Well, there's something interesting that you brought up about, and I've heard this a lot over the last couple of weeks in particular, but there's something in Burgeon beer every time you taste it, you can kind of recognize it, right? And it's that consistency. And I think passion is at the root of it, because these guys are really approaching beer and like the quality factor, and keeping consistent. Everything has to be of the highest standard. And we're coming out with today, actually, the release of the first beer in what's called the Keep It series. And it's a quarterly beer release where every season we showcase a new hop in the same recipe for a single hop IPA. So so today we've got Keep It Simcoe coming out. And what you're going to see, when you said that, it made me think of this. When you can keep all of the variables in a beer the same, and at Burgeon we keep the quality super, super high, and you change one little element in it, which are the hops, you can see and really pull out and truly showcase what that hop does.
Absolutely.
And it's an interesting beer experience. So we're excited about the release of this new series, and cans are dropping today. So
hey now. Well, Keep It Simcoe. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's kind of like my experience, like when I went to like White Labs, they kind of just had like different yeasts that they would use, and just like same beer, different, and see how that could modify your experience.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's only 4 ingredients in beer, and when you change one of those ingredients dramatically, the beer changes dramatically. And I think it is really cool what White Labs does with that. It's delicious and it's great, but it's also educational. Yeah. And so we're coming out with this platform. We're going to have Keep It Simcoe, Keep It Mosaic, Keep It Nelson, and Keep It Citra coming out for the 4 seasons of the year. And that's going to educate the consumer on what that hop is. They're going to know what Simcoe is after drinking this beer. So then they can be like, all right, I love this hop, or I like this hop, and they can kind of pick it out. And we've tested all these beers prior, and pardon my French, they're fucking delicious. So we're really excited for them to come out too, and I think it's a really great way to express the multiple dimensions in one hop.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense. Because once you start getting more hops in there, you get the smoothie effect, whereas you can't pick them out as much. Whereas this, it's just like so powerful and expressive, and it's pretty delicious and unique what comes out of the
incredible.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait to see that. That's gonna be fucking awesome. Well, gosh, any like shout outs you guys want to give? Any before we get into some tasting, because I think we've run the gamut on some good topics so far.
Not necessarily. I mean, I wanted to talk about our core beers, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. So
yeah, exactly. We've gone 30 minutes, so yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's take a break and get.
Welcome back. We're here doing some tasting now. So what 3 beers do we have, first of all, in front of us?
All right. So the first that we're going to taste is Clever Kiwi. It's our Nelson Hop Pilsner. Second is Keep It Simcoe. That's the one that we're releasing today. And then third will be Tribana, which is our flagship IPA.
And these are all core beers that they can get here anytime they want.
Year round, yep.
Woo! Lucky folks. So this is the Nelson Hop Kiwi.
Yeah, Pilsner. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So since we're in San Diego and we love hops so much, like we touched on earlier, we decided to kind of create a Pilsner, but give it a little something more. Because Pilsners aren't super flavorful or aromatic. They're just known for being clean and crisp. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to throw a new dimension in there by adding hops. And we use Nelson, which is one of our favorite hops. And came out of that was honestly amazing. It's the nice thing about it is it's this nice sessionable beer. It's super light, but it has way more flavor than a standard Pilsner will. Because the aroma and the flavor you get from the Nelson almost gives you like an orange citrus and fruity kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, it almost expands like an IPA almost does in a weird way.
It does, yeah. So we wanted to make it so it still tasted like a Pilsner, but it had this nice balance of hops in there too. Because you can go overboard and then you're basically just making a IPL or a session IPA. So we do a full lagering on this beer. It takes us more than twice as long to make this beer than any other ale that we do.
Wow, you said full lagering?
Yeah, so
what does that mean?
It's a lager. We use a lager yeast or a Pilsner yeast, which means that it's a yeast. So the two biggest differentiators in beer is ales and lagers.
Uh-huh.
Lagers are a much slower moving yeast, and so they ferment at a much colder temperature, which takes longer for that whole process to be completed. So therefore, it takes more than twice as long to make the beer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is a definitely pursuit of passion and patience.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And typically these styles they move pretty well, but they're not the most sought after. But because of the fact that there's such a long timeline, people seek out this beer now because it's not as readily available.
Especially, I mean, Pilsner heads, I'm sure, seek this because there's actual flavor to it.
Oh, yeah.
There's depth. I mean, and
you can drink a 4-pack of these and feel great the next day. And
yeah.
Trust me, from experience, I've done that many times, and it's dangerous. It's way too easy to drink a lot of this, and it's perfect because we live in San Diego. We wanted something light that you could just drink all day and enjoy that just had more flavor than your standard macro Pilsner or lager.
Well, in the time, I mean, I think the East Coast is now experiencing a heat wave. I know it's been hot as hell here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect time to get yourself on board with some of this.
We are crushing through this beer right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect time.
And it's a major crowd pleaser because, like you said, if you're looking for something light but you don't really want to compromise on the flavor or aroma, this is like the beer for that kind of thing because it just, it's really, really interesting. It's not your typical pills because of that dry hop process. So.
Yeah, I've never really tasted. I mean, it literally like keeps expanding in your mouth. It's pretty wild. You take a sip and it just doesn't really quite stop.
Yeah, it just has more flavor, and then it still finishes really clean and dry and crisp. But throughout the whole process of smelling it to tasting it, as it crosses your tongue, you just get kind of a wave of flavor that you normally wouldn't expect.
Yeah. It's weird. These ones always have like this weird like. My stomach wasn't upset at all, but it like settled my stomach in a weird way that I didn't even need it to be settled.
That's interesting. I've actually experienced that and never really thought about it before. But yeah, Matt has this really awesome bit of information about beer.
Yeah. In regards to, I have a lot of
this is, you shared it just last night about how beer, and I'm going to say it wrong, but
beer is basically the best alcoholic beverage you can actually drink.
1,000%.
The reason that it's settling your stomach too is think about the carbonation, right? Mm-hmm. The carbonation, just like drinking ginger ale when you have an upset stomach or something like that, is going to settle your stomach. Mm-hmm. Also, we use a clarifying agent in all of our non-hazy beers that removes the gluten, so you don't get that bloated feeling either. It also makes it, I can't say celiac safe, but a lot of people with intolerances can drink our beer.
That's awesome.
That and the tidbit of information she was touching on is beer is a really unique beverage in the fact that it's the only alcoholic beverage that actually physically relaxes you as well as mentally. So all alcohol relaxes you mentally, but the lupulin glands that are in hops are a natural muscle relaxer. So when you're drinking beer, you're being physically and mentally relaxed. So it's the whole package.
Wow. So, wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that aspect of it. I've never understood that aspect of it.
Yeah. So if you're drinking a lot of IPAs, you'll feel really relaxed. That's why.
Well, the last year and a half, I have been very, very relaxed.
Good. Well, there we go.
Drinking a lot of IPAs. So.
It's basically a therapy in a glass. Yeah.
Wow. So
don't quote me on that, by the way.
Welcome to therapy.
Well, me and Jay Jones from Thorn.
Yeah.
Jay preached on the podcast. Big shout out to Jay and Thorn, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How beer started civilization.
Absolutely,
so we harped on that. I mean, so hey, beer being therapy is just kind of the end result of it. The fact that it started all civilization.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you can look at reproductive numbers and like the sprout of actual civilization, and it does make a decent amount of sense.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Beer is the best beverage that you can drink for an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, cheers to that, and cheers to this. This is absolutely like this. You don't think of pilsners as complex, and you do think this is the first word I would describe this as complex.
Yeah, it is really a delicate balance between the pilsner malt and the hops, because if you do too much, it's going to be overpowering one way or the other. And so finding that balance was challenging for us, but it was a challenge that we were excited about. And I feel like we now have gotten to the point where it's perfect every single time. And you get the pilsner flavor in there, but you also get the hops in there without them being too overbearing.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, I'm sure a lot of this stuff too is trial and error, right? Just like
Yeah, and fortunately we've gotten the system dialed in, and those guys very well know what they're doing. So there's a certain margin where we can expect things to fall within.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we know it's going to be at the high caliber that we expect.
Yeah, like like at the very lowest, it'll still be very sellable.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
very.
And if it isn't up to our high standards, we will not put that batch out. We'll dump the whole thing.
Wow,
Doesn't happen very often, but if it has happened before, and
because that's cost a
rolling.
plenty. I mean, that's like people don't really realize what dumping out a batch. I mean, you're talking like upwards of 1,000, right?
Yeah, sold or just cost?
Yeah.
Cost itself, yeah, you're looking at probably close to 5,000.
Woo!
And the time. Think about if this is a
labor
beer,
hours, conception.
Well, and the amount of time that this spends in the lagering process, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
well, this
like-
beer especially, yeah.
something like that.
So if you've got something
Holy
like that
shit.
that you're dumping, but that's what's really important to these guys. They're not
Yeah.
going to put anything out that doesn't represent Burgeon
Yeah.
as a brand and a company.
That's big. That's
Yeah.
big. That's big time.
Yeah, we're never going to put out a beer that we don't think is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, I mean, not to just toot your horn, but I've never tasted anything here that's not incredible, so it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I mean, 3 years, 2016, 2019.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the 3-year anniversary, right?
Yep, exactly. That's coming up. And
speaking
Mackenzie
of
and I
which,
are going to start working on that.
What's the word for the 3-year anniversary? Any big deals going on?
Yeah, so last year we had a lot of fun with our 2-year anniversary, where we tried to encompass this whole cohesive mindset that we talked about earlier within this industry, and we invited every single brewery that we had done a collaboration with to our anniversary. And all of them came, which was incredible. And so this year, I think we're going to do the same thing, just make it a little bit bigger. And we've done some really awesome collaborations with some really sought-after breweries this year.
Yeah.
So we're excited to invite them down for the first time for our anniversary. So that's the plan for this year.
That's so cool. It's funny. That's like something I was thinking of doing for like the 100th episode of the podcast, was like inviting every single person that's ever been on the podcast to do a round table or something like that. So that's so fucking awesome.
Super
Thank
cool.
you.
But
Thank
that's
you.
I mean, goodness gracious, I can't even imagine. That would be some brewing star power at that event.
Oh yeah, it's basically like a highlight reel of your favorite breweries, and it our favorite breweries at least too. And it was really well received last year. People loved the fact that we make it a little bit more intimate too. I'm gonna say only, but we only have 1,000 people come to the event.
Sick.
So that it's not too crowded, you're not waiting in lines, and you're getting to taste beer from the best breweries in the nation.
Well, if you need any videography,
I will let you know.
all right. Well, cheers to this one. What is this? What
Cheers.
is this that we're sipping on now?
This is Keep It Simcoe. This is the one coming out
This is
today.
Oh,
You're
this
getting
is
the
the part of
sneak
the
peek.
Keep It-
Yeah, this doesn't come
Yeah.
out for another, I think, hour.
podcasting does have its perks, folks.
So we are,
smells delicious.
yeah, we are big fans of this beer. Like I said, we've brewed all of these beforehand.
Wow.
It's just what we do is we take these single hop beers and we add pellets as well as cryo. So it takes this singularly dimensioned beer and adds more dimension to it.
For people who don't know, pellets cryo.
So pellets are what you standardly use to hop a beer. It's basically they take all the hops and they kiln dry them and put them in these little pellets. Cryo is a unique process that's newer, where they actually freeze dry the hops and they pull all the lupulin glands. So it's basically a powder that they pull out of them, and it gives you a completely different flavor and aroma that you wouldn't get out of the pellets.
And so you're doing both of these for the...
Both of them, yeah.
Wow.
So, and they're both Simcoe, obviously, still too, but it adds more dimensions to a single hop beer, which is really unique in that fact. So you get all the dimensions of Simcoe. You're going to get a lot of the aroma, which is going to be the dry hop. That's going to be coming from the pellets, but the flavor, that nice fruity flavor that you get in here.
That's kind of that initial punch.
Yeah, that initial punch.
Yeah.
That's from
Sweet
the
grapefruit.
cryo hops.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
that like
interesting.
ripe, fruity, citrusy flavor. That's from the cryo.
You even get it on the nose, too. That's kind of the thing that
Yeah.
punches you right in the face right
Mhm.
there. And it makes sense because they're kind of driven out via the cryo process, like you said.
Yep.
Whereas I guess the pellets will be more kind of the undertones.
Yeah, and the pellets give us a lot of aroma too, we found out.
Okay.
So they're really
Interesting.
helpful for the aroma, and the cryo's been very helpful for the flavor.
Interesting. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. You almost wouldn't
You
think
kind of
it.
double down. It's if you got flavor and aroma, that's what you want in your beer, right? You want to have both of those things, and this is a very, I think, not to toot our own horn, a good representation of that hop.
Yeah, this is awesome. Like this really just like that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you guys are trying to do with the all these flavors is kind of really just accentuate the hop, the Simcoe.
Yeah,
This does it.
yeah, exactly. Put it on a stage, let it shine, let it do its thing.
Yeah, and they really do. I mean, like our access now to hops and stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
Like how it just, I mean, even like someone who wants to homebrew can just, any Joe Schmo can just get access to like pretty high grade hops. And I think that's definitely a recent thing.
Yeah.
It is. There's been hop shortages happening over the past couple of years, and so we were very fortunate that Anthony had the foresight when we were planning to start working on contracts, so that when we opened, we were able to open with a great hop selection, and we've been fortunate enough to now be able to go hand select all of our even New Zealand hops. So Anthony just flew down to New Zealand and hand selected all of our Nelson, Raquel, and Motueka.
Wow.
Himself.
How did he say that was?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, he's extended his trip and went surfing for another week too. He just enjoyed the heck out of it. So
He actually hasn't come back yet.
yeah, we're surprised he did come back actually. But
But,
he did
yeah.
a great job picking out the hops because we I think you're going to touch on this. We just used the first of it for our new IPA that's coming out with Keep It Simcoe today. Nelson Takes Flight, and so that'll be the first of the crop that he hand selected.
Wow.
Yeah, and he did a great job.
That's so
Don't
cool.
tell him I said that, but.
You did a terrible job. No, but that's awesome. Like just getting to go down there and like see the process and like interact with different cultures and like, I mean, again, some of the corniest things are the truest actually, but like beer, like this kind of stuff allows you to be like a citizen of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just like, I love when you guys post pictures of like someone wearing like a Burgeon shirt at like, I don't know, like Machu Picchu or something. It's
Yeah.
That's so darn cool.
Thank
Not
you.
only that Burgeon is there, not only that craft beer is there, that San Diego is there, that you guys are there. It's so cool. It just represents a lot of great stuff.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate that. That's something we just started noticing happening when we started the Burgeon Instagram. And people just started tagging us in these posts and these most like with the beer and their shirts and their gear and the most like rare exotic places of this world, and it was just so cool. We had to share it, and people like to see that, so we continue to do the we call it branching out with Burgeon. So
Dude, that's big time. That's like, I mean, it's super cool to see people who are just like, I'm here and I'm drinking Burgeon. That's what it's about. Like that makes this day better. Like I'm on a hike and I'm gonna crack open a Travana. Or I'm at,
Yeah.
that's fucking dope.
Well, and it's super humbling for us that
Course.
people are making that connection from afar. I mean, if you're taking Burgeon cans across the country or to another country
It's big time.
and you think to tag us in a post, I mean, that's really what we're all about. We want to have those relationships with the people who are drinking our beer.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome that you pointed that out because it's such a cool thing that we love to see and we want to share that, we want folks to know about it. So
Well, I think social media, I mean, in this day and age has so many like negative connotations, but there's so many awesome ways to utilize it. Like that's how I linked up with you guys
yeah,
just by bugging you so much on social media. But I mean, I think there's so many positive ways to utilize it that are so fun and so innovative. And I think that's one of them is to just show the community that's craft craft brew is very, very, very strong. There's something about it. I mean, I don't know. Is there a craft beer actual one centralized festival or convention for it? Because there should be.
Well, there's the World Beer Cup, which is a competition that invites all the breweries in the entire world.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. We have GABF, which is basically like the U.S. Open,
Have you guys answered that?
Yeah, we actually won a medal last year.
It's
like the biggest competition in America for craft beer. So
what'd you win it for?
It was for Noble Minor, which is our grisette. It's for the session category.
Yep.
And I mean, to win a medal at GABF is such an honor, and we just felt ecstatic. I wasn't there. Anthony was there, and he was freaking out. And he sent me a text. I was actually in Germany at Oktoberfest at a table with a bunch of people wearing a lederhosen, and everyone's like, "Hey!" raising the glasses, and it was.
That's how you celebrate.
It was a great way to celebrate. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we had some schnitzel afterwards. It was a great time.
Some schnitzel and sausages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That's pretty incredible. So GFAB is
GABF.
GABF.
The Great American Beer Festival.
Wow. So, dude, that's fucking massive. I mean, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It sounds like that's the gold cup. It
is. It's like the U.S. Open or like the biggest. It's the biggest thing for beer in the United States. So it's
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think the beer competitions are all so cool because you can kind of just not only do you get to just meet other cool people who are making good beer, selling good beer, but you also get that gratification for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that recognition and that actualization of, hey, your process is very, very refined. And you deserve this reward because of that. So I think that's what your process seems to be very refined here.
Thank you. We're pretty strict about that. Anthony is, especially in the back. You see how clean it is back there, and all the regimens that he has going through every single day. He's a very I'll say this on PC. We're a very specific person.
Fastidious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it shows in the product.
He's a perfectionist. I think that's what you need. Every team needs a perfectionist. Yeah. And I think it shows in the cleanliness of your product, in the quality of your product. I think that's something that really gets sold short a lot, how difficult it is to keep clean.
Yes. Yeah, they have the funny term for brewers, which is a glorified janitor. Because you're just constantly cleaning all the time.
Really?
Everything has to be immaculate. Otherwise, beers can get infected. They can go bad, and that's something
you get cultures in there.
Yeah, bacteria. I mean, there's bacteria everywhere, so you have to be incredibly strict with your practices and regimens.
Wow.
Well, and another to that point about how the super fine-tuned process here at Burgeon and being incredibly particular about every step of that process is that too fits into the sustainability picture, right? Because when you do that, you minimize waste, whether that's the aluminum cans or the water that Matt was talking about earlier. And when you can cut back on waste like that, the impact is huge. The eventual impact is huge.
Of course, because it just builds and builds and builds over time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think about that aspect of it. That's insane. Yeah, wow. So, I mean, everything has a purpose, right?
Totally.
Everything has a purpose. That's probably a reason why you guys were able to, I would say, build relatively fast. I mean, I remember hearing about Burgeon. When was it? In 2016? It was. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind.
It was November, December 6th of 2016. It does seem like a whirlwind.
Yeah, because you got. I mean, it was late.
Yeah.
And you got
it was right before the holidays.
To open such a large space in Carlsbad.
Yeah, 10,000 square foot facility.
You guys were not bullshitting.
No, we came to this industry with a mission and a goal, and
I'm sure it's as well as you've probably exceeded your goals already. You probably already, by the time you exceeded them, you set new ones.
Yeah, we've had to. We realized that quickly, and we feel so very lucky to have the success that we've had. And we exceeded our 7-year goal by the end of year 2.
Yes.
So we're very excited about that, and I have to attribute a lot of that to our team too. We have such a great staff and so many amazing people that work here. And I always use the analogy that you can't build a pyramid upside down. You have to have a strong foundation of people. And I really feel that we have that. And so
Synergy is winergy.
Exactly, right? And I feel like we're just getting started because we have such a great team behind us now.
Oh, you guys are just getting started. It's a matter of time until just Burgeon is just not only nationwide but worldwide. People need to be drinking this beer.
And it's interesting. So Matt brought up the team and the tasting room staff. Everyone has to take the Cicerone beer server exam. So you ask the servers in our tasting room any question, and they can really talk to you about the beers that we have and how that fits into the global picture of beer and the historical picture of beer. It's really pretty cool that everyone's so educated and informed here.
Yeah, my buddy who's a beer savant who I come here with, if you've seen me here before, my buddy who's the taller dude, bigger than me. Dude, that fool is a beer savant. And he comes in here and he'll chop it up with someone behind the counter for like 30 minutes just...
Yeah, talking about geeking out on beer, basically.
And you could tell it's not even like not even a chore for them. They're like, yes, this fool... This will get
my people,
it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what it's all about. And speaking of which, so we're on a third one now. What is this for the folks out there?
This is our Tribana IPA. This one is near and dear to my heart. It's our first core IPA, and I just love this beer. This beer actually last year just got voted and won the best regularly produced beer in San Diego. So we were just blown away because there's so many great breweries and there's so much great beer here, and we are just ecstatic that we were able to come away with that accolade.
Dude, the Tribana, I mean, the main question, you're going to hear it first, folks, here on the ODDCAST. Do you and how much crack do you put into it?
We're not at liberty to disclose that information.
Only a sprinkle of crack, really. It's not a little sprinkle of crack. Yeah.
No, but, I mean, what the hell do you guys do to this to make it? I mean, I really don't understand. It's one of the most drinkable beers I've ever tasted in my life, if not the.
Oh, thank you. It's something that we put our entire. I mean, we have a core lineup, but this is definitely the fastest moving beer that we have on tap, and it has been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, before we started the brewery, we kind of talked about what our favorite hops were, and we all really like Mosaic. Mosaic's just a beautiful hop, and we really like Amarillo as well. So we decided early on to put them both together and see what we came up with, and that built Tribana, along with some unique practices and hop regimens that we have in the back. We were able to create this beverage that I feel like we've really dialed in over the years and has become just it's starting to become a staple for San Diego.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I mean, it really is. In the third segment of this, we'll be waterboarding him to find out what those No, but that's so cool. I mean, I think I just really enjoy how seriously that you folks take this.
Thank you.
And on all ends of it, of just providing like such a quality product in something where, realistically, like, you have a great space, you have a great name. You could just sell swill if you really wanted to. Maybe not. But you guys just take it to like a next level of quality, of really giving a shit about the product, giving a shit about the customer. The customer is not even a customer, it's more family. I mean, I feel like at Burgeon, every time I come in here, I've never really I see similar people in here every time I come. I mean, I've seen similar dogs.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I know we were talking before, I don't know if we can release it, but the Dog's a Burgeon calendar.
Oh, well, it's less of a true print calendar and more of a we actually really love dogs here. So if you bring them in, we want to get a picture of your dog. And so that's really just all it is.
That's coming down the road, though.
The Dog's a Burgeon calendar would be absolutely hilarious, January. Just have a German Shepherd
leaning up against a fermenter.
Exactly.
Love it.
Every time I come in here, there's always a fantastic, it's not just the dogs. There's a fantastic environment, a fantastic level of comfort that you get out of that you desire when you look. If you pay to go out, right? If you pay to experience something, via an increased price for buying a beer at a grocery store versus out. You expect to get something like that, but here you guys take it above and beyond, and it's just like it becomes like familial. It's really awesome, and I think that's what San Diego breweries really do to a great success, and you guys are just like at the pinnacle of exemplifying that.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to say that. But it's something that we definitely strive for here at Burgeon. I feel like a lot of breweries do a great job of that, and that's kind of the point of coming to a brewery rather than just going to a normal tap room or a bar, right? Is you can have the experience of being at the source. You're never going to get that beer fresher or better than actually going to a brewery, and we want our staff to be able to educate people about craft beer so we can continue to grow this industry. So we want them to be knowledgeable, we want them to be friendly, and we want to create a great space to encompass all of that. So that's what we really work for.
And it's important for us to really break down those barriers that may be preventing someone who doesn't already drink craft beer to have a wall that is really enticing for all people, right? Because I think we have such a diverse range of beers available at all times, and we want it to be accessible to people, and that's why our tasting room staff are really interested in having those conversations with people and knowing, right? Because the more diverse selection that you have, the more accessible that is to everyone who walks through that door. And that's really important to us. We really want everyone who comes in to be able to select something that's perfect for them.
That's pretty darn awesome. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a beer for everyone. Why not help them find it?
Exactly. Well, I mean, you know what? This is a place where me and my friends have always felt very welcome, and it just comes off in the ownership side of it too. I mean, it makes a lot of darn sense why. And I think it was funny what you were saying, coming from the source. Sometimes even, I'll have a discussion with someone about what beer I want to get. More times than not, I'll probably get the Trivana, and I'll just go back there and I'll look at just the production and just like the volume of like. And I can't imagine what you guys think when you see that. I mean, having now been through the washer and that, I just will be like, wow, that's so neat that they're just producing this high volume, high grade liquid at such a large level.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something that we've had to learn as we've started the brewery, but I feel like we're at the point now where we're so comfortable with our system and what we're doing that we're able to just produce top-notch beers all the time now, and that's a very nice spot to be at.
It's probably one where you're, with great power comes great
responsibility. Yeah, and when you learn, it's like a rabbit hole. It just gets deeper. As you start gaining more information, there's always more to learn. There's always more to try. And there's always more to do, and that's why Burgeon meaning to grow not only means that we grew up here. We want to grow by always trying to brew new styles and try to push the boundaries of what can be done with craft beer, to always try and improve on what we're doing. And we can do that at an exponential rate over places that might just be brewing the same beer over and over again.
Couldn't be a better name. Could not. I mean, that was going to be my second question, but I feel like this entire interview has proven why you're called Burgeon. There's no need to even ask. I mean, I guess, we've run the gamut again on great stuff and finished it off on a Trivana. I guess at this point I would like, to ask you guys if there's any advice that you would give to our viewers or listeners out there who have that passion and want to turn it into a profession, want to turn it into a paycheck, because in this day and age, I mean, 7 billion plus people in the world. A lot of people are doing jobs that they don't necessarily want to. So any advice out there to anyone who wants to turn that passion into a paycheck?
Absolutely. The one thing I always tell people that are opening a brewery or opening some sort of business is don't let the setbacks stop you from achieving your goal.
Wow.
Make sure that no matter how big the setback is, no matter how many people tell you that you're not going to be able to do it, because trust me, we had plenty when we were opening. They're like, you're going to open a brewery in a saturated market in San Diego, you're never going to make it. I can't tell you how many people told me that before we opened the brewery. And look where we are now.
Yep.
Don't listen to them. Believe in yourself. Follow your dreams. Jump over those hurdles, and you'll get there.
Wow. I bet people even laughed at you.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one of our investors actually, when I went out to him, he said, "You'll never raise all the money for this. This is never going to work. It's never going to be successful." And so I asked him, I was obviously first like very hurt, but I went back to my sales days and I reflected and I came back and I said, all right, you know what? If I raise all the money and we only need one more share left to start this business, will you invest? He's like, absolutely, but you won't do it. I came back to him when we had all the shares raised except for one. And guess what? He invested.
No, he didn't.
He did invest. He did. And he was our last investor and we started Burgeon. So
well, thank God for him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad he was a man of his word and he did. So
wow, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, any advice out there for?
Oh, I think, one thing that we talked a lot about was like quality and consistency and all that kind of good stuff. If you are really thinking about doing this professionally, I think that documentation, controlling every variable of the process is super, super important from a technical side. And then, in addition to that, have fun with it. It's a really fun industry to be in. It's really awesome to be welcomed into it by these three amazing founders. And so, being a part of this team is awesome. And I think that story is true across San Diego craft breweries for many of them. And so it's one of those things where have fun with it, be true to your vision. And yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. I appreciate you sharing that as well.
Sure.
And before we sign off, any last shout outs you want to give, any upcoming things you want to plug?
Yeah, so we're starting to do these, kind of going into the environmental side.
Yep.
We're starting to do these things called branch outings. So we're partnering with different entities. So we have a lot of those planned for the rest of the year too. And we have our core lineup of cans that just went out. We now have a refrigerated box truck, a 20-foot refrigerated box truck that you can see from the moon. But that goes into our quality standards as well. So
Burgeon Chasers.
Yeah.
You're going to make that a thing.
And we are continuing with our IPA Reclaim the Wild that we did with the National Forest Foundation as well. And to date, we've planted almost 13,000 trees.
13,000?
Yeah. So
get your oxygen on, people. Get your oxygen on.
Yeah, you're welcome for the air, by the way. No,
yeah, it's just for real.
Beer and air, our specialty.
Thank you, Burgeon.
So we have a lot of fun things planned. The anniversary will be coming up again in January, and we're just like I said, we're just getting started. Awesome.
And guys, I really appreciate you guys for having us in house. We're here at Burgeon. Come by Carlsbad. The address again?
6350 Yarrow Drive, Suite C, Carlsbad, California 92011.
Yarrow, 6350 Yarrow, Carlsbad, California. Follow them on Instagram at Burgeon Beer.
Yep, at Burgeon Beer on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Simple as that. And thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the ODDCAST podcast, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into profession and subsequently their passion into paychecks. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST.